Welcome to the Vanilla To Vixen podcast. This show contains adult content, so if you are under 18 or easily offended, please switch off now. Mr. and Mrs. N are not qualified relationship counsellors. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Now the disclaimer is out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey from Vanilla to Vixen.
Welcome to episode 80, Big 80 of Vanilla To Vixen. We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. N, and we're also known as...
The Naughty Couple.
Hello, Mrs. N.
Hello, Mr. N.
It's a big week all round, really.
It is a big week all round.
We've got the Chinese New Year party at Vanilla To Vixen.
We have, which is on, well, it's tomorrow.
I know, it's tomorrow night. And Liberty Elite.
Yeah.
And I like my sex like I like my Chinese food.
Really?
Hot, oily, and delivered to my door. Talking of which,
yes.
Did you hear about the chap who employed a Chinese man to work at his company?
No.
And the Chinese man went, I'm not feeling too well. I can't come into work. So the man who owned the company said, when I don't feel well, he said, I just, have sex with my wife. He said, try it out and see how you get on. And the Chinese man then went to work the next day. He said, it's very good. He said, you have a nice house.
I feel you've upped your game, Mr. Ann. Is that because I had such a good response from last week's joke?
I've had to do a bit of work. I'm not going to lie, I've had to do a bit of work. Oh dear.
That was very good. Very good.
We've got a packed show.
We have.
We've got a brand new guest that we've never had on before.
Yeah.
Called Shannon.
We do.
So Shannon's coming on. She describes herself, I don't know if she does describe herself as a unicorn. I'm not sure.
I think she doesn't mind being called a unicorn, but she's never called herself a unicorn, but she is a single female.
So yes, for those that don't know, sometimes single ladies in the lifestyle are described as a unicorn.
Yeah.
Because they're mystical creatures, magical with horns. I don't know. I had to make the last bit up. I just don't know. And yes, we're speaking to Shannon a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think we've got a couple that want to ask Roxy a question.
I think they do.
So let's ask Roxy. And now joining us from that very special secret lair. I nearly said bat cave then.
It could well be.
Well, she's a superhero to us.
Oh, she is.
It's Roxy!
Hi!
Hello, my lovely.
How are you?
We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
We're
all getting ready for our big Vanilla To Vixen Chinese New Year party tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. Gosh, it seems to come around really quickly all of a sudden.
It's the big one.
I've been stuffing red envelopes today.
I wonder what you were going to say then.
No, me. I've got to stuff myself into a dress. I don't know how I'm going to manage that yet because I haven't tried it on. But
I'm really looking forward to seeing people's outfits and which way they've decided to go. So Mr. N's outfit turned out to be a bit of a disaster.
The first one.
So we had to order him something else.
If there are any single gentlemen, well, no, not single gentlemen, there's no single gentlemen allowed on a Saturday, but if there are any gentlemen and part of couples who are still looking for a shirt, I've got one. It was advertised as an XXL, but it's more like a Lego man shirt.
Yeah, put it this way. It was a bit like. Oh no, that's just. I can't say that. That sounds awful.
I don't know what you're going to say.
You can cut this out, but I was going to say it's like when you get those joints of beef that have got the string round them.
What? I'm going to leave it in to show people what you have to put up with.
It's like me doing rope play.
Oh my God, it's getting worse.
Oh, dear.
We're going to have to move on to the question quickly.
I do apologise, darling.
That's all right.
I love
Needless
you.
to say, I have got a proper outfit that does fit me.
Which I think is a better option. You look flipping brilliant in it.
We'll see.
I think it's going to look awesome. Anyway, so Roxy, obviously since people have heard that you're back, we are being flooded with questions for you.
It's like
Excellent.
it's like Santa's grotto in November here.
Is that right?
All the letters arriving for Roxy.
It's what I'd say. It's good to be back, and you know me. If I can help anybody, I will.
Bless you.
I think we've got a question today from a brand new couple to the
We
scene.
have. So they are known as T and G.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's like a cup of tea and gin or...
T&G. Sounds like an insurance company or something. I'm not sure.
Bless them. Well, and they have written, "Hi Roxy, we are a married couple new to the scene. We've attended 3 events now, including the fabulous Vanilla To Vixen night.
Oh, bless you.
Our issue is we are not sure how to indicate to another couple that we really fancy them and would be open to moving things to the playroom. We are still a little nervous for the big open playroom, so feel a more intimate foursome might be the best way to start a full swap. Is this where we are going wrong? Should we just put our big pants on and try the big playroom? Thanks in advance."
Well, firstly, I was going to talk about taking the big pants off to go in the playroom, but that's probably something else.
I wonder if I could sew him my shirt. Perhaps not.
I mean, it's always hard when you first start out and you never know really what to say to people. I think I would suggest, and again, it depends on whether the hot tub is your kind of thing, but just sort of, if you're talking to a couple that you're interested in, just say, would you fancy, we're thinking about going and have a dip, do you fancy coming with us?
That
And then
happened to
take
us.
it from there.
Yeah, that did happen to us actually, and it is quite a nice way of kind of sort of breaking the ice and getting the kind of flirtiness going on.
Because it's taking it to a more sexy environment.
Exactly.
But you kind of going away from just a straight social environment, a little bit more sexy, but you're not kind of putting yourself out there and directly asking anything, are you?
That's it, you know. And if you get an indication that maybe things might be progressing as you're in the tub, then say, would you fancy seeing if there's a private room, and seeing whether, you know, that could be something, or it could be that, do you fancy like seeing if there's a bed over, you know, if there's a bed somewhere.
Very good.
But I think starting off by moving, like you say, from social into something a little bit more sexy by going in the hot tub, then you kind of more, it's an indication to the couple that you may be interested in more, because you've asked them to take that step with you. And then just sort of play it by ear, really.
That's very good
I suppose you
advice.
could also do, because depending on which event you're going to, sometimes the hot tub can get a little bit busy.
But then if the hot tub's busy, then you can say, oh, the hot tub's busy. Should
we look for a
private room?
That's what I was about to say, Mr. M, before you came bulldozing in and nicking my line.
Exactly, I'm a bulldozer in a situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that's a really good idea in terms of, let's, you know, we can't do this, but should we do that? Do you fancy this? Just don't be afraid to, if they turn around and say no, that may not be against you. It might not be anything about you guys. It might be just that particular couple are not planning on playing. It might be that particular couple don't like hot tubs. It might be that they've already signed something, like set something up with somebody else.
Yeah.
So just, you know, be prepared to get a no, because there's always that expectation. You know, there should never be an expectation that people want to play with you.
Yes.
In the same way that you shouldn't be expected to play with other people.
Yes.
So just be mindful that might come along. Then you might get a no, but you take it on the chin and you go, oh, that's fine. And then you carry on the conversation, or you go and find someone else to talk to, or whatever. But at least you've made the step, and you know. And
I think as well, I think you make a really good point there, because I think direct rejection when you're a brand new couple, we all know how difficult that can be. We can't brush over it, but for some reason in life, we always seem to remember the negative comments about us, and we always forget the good ones, don't we?
Yeah.
Always. It's so much easier to remember the bad things.
So I totally agree. Whereas if you're kind of saying to somebody, do you want to join us in the hot tub? and they say, no, it's not for us, thank you. It's not quite so direct, is it? It's not such quite direct rejection as saying, do you want to come with us to a private room or whatever.
Exactly.
It somehow feels more open. So that's easier. And
probably
easier,
doesn't feel such a big step to go from the social area to then a room or a bed. It's sort of like the gentle in between.
Even in your head, you're not kind of making that direct sort of play for a personal or private play with them.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and I think different people handle rejection in different ways as well, don't they? Like, I know, as what I fondly call as a spicy person, my brain automatically goes into a negative place. So if somebody says, if I feel rejected in any way, whether it's club environment, whether it's a home environment, whether it's a work environment, my brain always goes into well, that's just because you're rubbish, or whatever. You start sort of looking at it in a negative way. But that's just, I know that because that's how my brain works. And I think it's just knowing that you should never take offence by somebody saying no in a club environment, because you don't know their reasons. It could be nothing to do with you guys. It could be their own. It could be a particular week for the lady, but they're there for a social, so you never know.
So you're saying that me just sort of going in the car park and having a little cry is not
it's gonna, no's always, like, when you feel rejected, it always stings a little bit, but it's just trying to remember that it's not always about, so just because somebody's rejected or said no to a particular thing, it might just be that they had other plans, that they were thinking about something else, that it's, it's not necessarily a rejection to you personally. It might be the circumstances. So it's always, and don't take that one no as, well, we may as well just give up, because, you may go to a particular club and not get any play at all, other than what you do yourselves. Don't take that as nobody wants to play with us, because it could be the particular night, it could be the circumstances, it could be a number of things.
I think they do mention, don't they, that they've not yet kind of wandered into the big room.
No.
And one thing that we've often found is perhaps sometimes in the social area, there'll be no one in the social area that kind of initially perhaps you want to play with, but then just going in there yourselves can sometimes lead to something completely different happening.
Go and have a watch. Go and have a look and see if there's a corner of a bed somewhere. Ask if people are using the bed. Ask if they wouldn't mind if you just perched on the corner of the bed, and watch what's going on. And just, that in itself can be really hot anyway. And you don't know where it's going to lead from there. And you have people have a preconceived ideas of what that big playroom looks like, especially on a busy night. And we're adamant that, especially looking at Libs, for example, the middle bed, we always say it's not a free-for-all. It gets very busy. It does. In particular events, it gets very, very busy. But all the way through, consent is the key to everything. But there's nothing to stop you from going and sitting and watching, as long as you don't crowd people, as long as you sort of make sure you're keeping space between you and other people playing. If you're not involved in their play, there's nothing to stop you watching, and then you might get in the mood, and who knows what would happen, and who knows, may invite you into their situation. So try not to think about it too much.
That's so
and
true.
just sort of go with the flow, and definitely don't take a no as anything insulting or personal, because it could be the circumstances.
There you go, TNG. Excellent advice from Roxy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, my lovely.
You're very welcome. I will see you tomorrow.
You will do.
We are so excited.
Can't wait.
And I believe Liberty Elite has prepared a beautiful Chinese finger buffet.
Ooh, fabulous!
I think we've got a bit of English food and some Chinese as well.
I'm gonna have to make an extra special dash to get all the prawn crackers.
I'll race you for the prawn crackers.
We cannot wait to see you, Roxy, and we shall.
Can't wait to see you both.
Thank you so much again. We'll see you soon.
Take care, honey.
Ask Roxy.
Oh, it's our wonderful Roxy, bless her.
Full of useful information and
She's
advice.
amazing. She is amazing. So don't forget, guys, if you've got a question or something you're not sure of that you'd like Roxy to help on, then obviously you can get in contact with us.
You can get in contact with us via email. We are Naughty Couple, NAUGHTYCP1. That's Naughty Couple with a 1 instead of an L. At yahoo.com, or you can contact us. We are Naughty Couple, spelled NAUGHTYCP1, and that is on Fab Swingers.
Yes, I mean, and that's not just for asking Roxy questions. That's if you want to ask myself and Mr. N anything,
Yes.
or, you know, you just basically want to get in contact with us, then
Absolutely.
please feel free. Now, you guys have been listening to us waffling on for at least 79 hours.
80 hours.
Nearly
I think.
80 hours.
80 hours of filthy, drawn out drivel.
And thank you for still being with us. We've not put you off yet.
I know.
But it's also really nice to get new people's opinions on things, isn't it? People new to the naughty hobby.
Yeah.
And
you know, if you've got a story to tell, send us a message.
Yes.
Send us an email if you would like to appear on this show, and sort of if you've got any experience of the naughty hobby, perhaps you want to go into it, and you know you want to sort of tell us why you want to get into it.
yeah, maybe you've been in the hobby for a while, but you're experiencing something new, and you'd like to share that with us and the listeners.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Perhaps you make double-ended dildos and sell them on Etsy. I just don't know.
You've been scouring the internet again, Mr. N.
You've been looking through my search history. You can tell us all about it on by sending us an email, and perhaps you could come on the podcast. You can stay completely anonymous.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And that's just what this young lady did. We spoke to her at Liberty Elite.
Yes. We were introduced to her via the beautiful Roxy. Mm-hmm. And we had a quick chat and said, we'd love you to come and tell everybody your story.
Let's do it. It's time for the main event. And now joining us is Shannon.
Hello,
Hi,
my lovely.
Welcome
Hello.
to Vanilla To Vixen.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here.
So we literally were just sitting next to you at Liberty Elite just the other week, and Mrs. N did her usual thing of arm twisting and grooming, and here you are sitting with us over a video link on the podcast. It's so lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just sat there eating my buffet.
You were. Yeah, see, I had a kindred spirit.
Yeah, and Roxy was like, kind of nudging me, and she was like, Shannon, like, what would you like to go on? And I was like, well, I could just talk the back legs of a donkey, and I love the lifestyle, so why not?
Perfect recipes,
That sounds pretty good.
Absolutely.
That's pretty good. So how long have you been in the naughty hobby, as Mrs. N calls it?
Yeah, I think it's approaching like 2 years now, officially. I did kind of dabble on the scene back in like 2017, but
Yeah.
I just kind of visited a club a few times with somebody who was seeing, and then I met like the father of my children. I was in like a very much monogamous relationship for like 5 years or so, and then split up. I was like, that entire time I've been thinking about those club visits that I'd had so many years ago.
I was just going to say, because we have people that obviously dip in and out of the hobby. And it's always that bit, especially when you meet somebody and you get into a monogamous relationship. I've always wanted to know, do you miss it? Do you miss the hobby?
Well, I'd only been to a club twice, so like I said, I'd just dabbled in it. But it was something that I very much thought about throughout the relationship. And yeah, like I said, as soon as I came out of that relationship, I very much knew I wanted to go back to it, and I did.
So was it anything that you kind of approached with your partner at the time, or did you just literally go straight vanilla relationship?
Some people, it's like really off limits. They just couldn't imagine themselves being involved in any way.
So yeah, I did mention it. Like, he was fully aware that I'd attended clubs when we met, but it just wasn't his thing. Like, he was very much a monogamous person. Towards like the end of the relationship, I kind of wanted to explore my sexuality a bit more, and I did bring up the subject of maybe exploring with another girl within the relationship, but again, he was just very much, no, it's off limits. So I was like, to respect his wishes, and it was something I could live with or live without at the time.
Yeah.
But now, there's no way I'd ever be able to go back to a monogamous relationship now. No way. This is it now for life.
But you meet so many people that actually now meet in the hobby.
Yeah.
And then they just end up sort of coming to the club together. It's really nice.
It's interesting you should say that, because I was only just having a conversation about this the other week, where somebody said on somebody's Fab profile that they put something like, oh, it's not a dating website, I'm not interested in this, I'm not interested in that, you shouldn't be looking for relationships on Fab. And I was like, it's quite an interesting subject though, because like myself, who would, if I was to get into a relationship again, I would want it to be with somebody who wants to swing with me. So it's like, well, where do I go to meet people then who wants to, like, do you know what I mean?
And considering that everybody in the lifestyle is meant to be liberated,
yes,
who actually writes the rule that says you can't look for you call it a love interest or a partner? Why can't you look for a partner on Fab? Fab's an open place for liberated people, so surely you should be able to advertise that if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I agree.
That's it.
I just don't like that people put limits on Fab for things. It's like, who are you to make the rules? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's what I want to make it.
Exactly, exactly, absolutely. No, we totally agree with that. See, we're always full of myth busting.
Yes.
That's another good myth. Fab is not, yes, it's a swinging website, but it doesn't mean that you can't advertise that you are looking for a partner as well.
Not at all. We know lots of people that have, well, not necessarily been looking for a partner, but because they've contacted each other via Fab, it's then progressed to an actual relationship, hasn't it?
We've even had people at
that's it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not looking for a relationship on Fab, but like, you know, if I were to meet somebody and it developed that way, then that's also great, because I'm not interested in meeting somebody monogamous. So, you know, it just is what it is. And yeah, I've noticed that on a lot of people's profiles where they put stuff like that, and I'm just like, ugh. Just automatically puts me off. I'm just like, oh no, you're definitely not getting a message.
So what kind of whetted your appetite, so to speak, to sort of look into the hobby in the first place? Was it something that somebody had mentioned to you, or did you just think to yourself, I'm interested, I'm going to do a bit of investigating, see what's out there?
Yeah, so as I said, the first experience I had was, it was just somebody who I was seeing at the time who were like a bit of a friends with benefits kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I literally turned up at his house one day and he was like, so there's this sex club around the corner, which is Cam's. And like, do you want to go? And I was just like, what? I was like, what? Never even really thought about sex clubs or, well, you know, private members clubs.
Yeah.
And, but like, I'm just kind of one of them people that's just like always up for an adventure. So I was just like, yeah, okay.
That sounds pretty cool.
It does sound cool. I mean, I can imagine some people would have gone, oh my God, you know, and being a little mortified of it. But
starting the car as they just...
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty terrifying, I'm not going to lie. Like, I was like, what the hell do I do? What do I wear? What's going to happen? And then I absolutely loved it. And then, like I said, when I split up with my ex and I wanted to get back onto it, I just kind of joined Fab one day and thought, I'm just going to like see what's going on the scene now. Like, you know, what I didn't know where to start, but Fab was the place to start. And then I met somebody on there who introduced me to what was the DC Discord at the time.
Yes.
But obviously it's not DC Discord now, is it? But I just joined that, and that's when I got invited along to DC, met everybody there, and that was it.
It is like a little community. Well, it's a big community now. It's like grown, monstrous.
It has.
Yeah, and as a single lady on the scene who had no friends on the scene or anything like that, joining the Discord was like one of the best things that happened, because like I didn't then have to attend my first club alone.
Yeah.
Like I met people beforehand, and they held my hand to go into the club, and I felt safe because there was people around that I could go to, and it was great. Yeah, so that was just like kind of the start of my journey as a single woman on the scene.
So that all really started from Discord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so it's Mr. Horny. It's Mr. Horny to blame for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
We always blame Mr. Horny.
Yeah, I'm ever so grateful for to start off. It's a great place to start because there's just nothing more scary, is there, as a newbie, to just, even in a couple, but especially as a single lady on the scene, just turning up to a club on your own is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
So do you just do like club meets, or do you do private meets, or?
So I started off doing private meets before I joined the Discord and started going to clubs. I met like single guys, couples, and but now, I mean, I do private meets sometimes, but I am generally like just a club goer. I tend to get to clubs once or twice a month, so I think that's regular enough. Trying to find like private meets between that when I'm a single parent as well, so I don't think I'd really have the time for private meets as well.
Yeah, this is true. I was just interested because obviously we've had people, and we've talked about it before on the podcast, the differences between a private meet and a club meet. And as a single female, do you think you feel safer having a club meet or rather than private, or do you just Yeah,
of course. I mean, at a club you can't get much safer than a club, really. Yeah, I mean, if you ever have a problem at a club, you can just turn to the staff and you're just in a safe place. Whereas, obviously at a private meet, you don't really know who you're meeting, do you? Unless
you're on your own, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're on your own.
They've got I mean, even if they've got verifications, you're not guaranteed to be safe, are you? So,
absolutely. It's really weird, because obviously we talk to a lot of single guys who have never been to clubs, but they seem more terrified to go to a club. They desperately want to, but the nerves often get the better of them.
Yeah, most of the single guys who I speak to about clubs off Fab they're like, it's just weird for a single guy to go, isn't it? And I'm like, no, we want you there. To the club. Like, what do you mean it's weird? Like,
Shannon's grabbing him and dragging him into Liberty Elite.
What are you talking about? Weird. I think it's bizarre that they think they're like this taboo, like turning up to a club on your own. I think they think it's like just couples that go or something, and it's weird for a single guy. But I'm just like, I always try to explain to them that like, no, there's a club and an event for everybody, and like you don't,
I think it's
they don't realise the variety.
You see, I think it's alien to them because obviously, sort of a lot of guys go to pubs, and so a guy thinks, they're going groups to pubs traditionally. You go with your mates, and so you're going as a group. So I think for a guy, it's more alien to just the thought to consider going to a club completely on your own. I think it's more alien for a guy, probably for a woman.
Yeah,
for a woman. That's just my theory.
Yeah. That's an interesting perspective, actually, because, I mean, how many guys would just go to the pub on their own?
Not many, I don't think.
They wouldn't really, would they?
No,
so,
only probably the married ones that someone want to get away. Just take the newspaper under their arm, take the dog, if the dogs are allowed in, and just sit there on your own for an hour.
I think a lot of them have said to me in the past that they just feel a bit creepy turning up on their own or something, and I'm just like.
I think that's a really good point you make, because for the genuine guys, the real nice genuine guys that you meet in the lifestyle, they are terrified of appearing creepy or appearing like predators, and that's an interesting sort of thought pattern.
I wonder where they get the people who don't have any experience with swinging. I wonder where they get that conception from. Because if they don't know anything about it, then where are they getting that idea from?
It's just a preconceived idea, isn't it? It's just totally preconceived of what they think. They probably think that there's going to be like loads of dirty old men in there in Macs.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know why people wearing Macs are considered dirty.
I've told you not to wear it.
I'm quite clean in my Mac.
It is sad to think that the whole thing about private members clubs and things like that, there's still a massive perception from people that they're like really seedy and and dirty and all that kind of thing, isn't there, in this day and age?
And it is, but as time's gone on, and they've really become more modern now, with like jacuzzis and dance floors and star DJs. I mean, the brand new party at Liberty Elite's got like a proper all-star DJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Attending. So, yeah, I mean,
bearing in mind that the age ranges are quite, quite big, aren't they? I mean, they're literally from 24 upwards, aren't they? Yeah.
I mean, I visited Pandora's for the first time at the weekend, and we went to the FOMO party, and we were walking around the club, and it was heaving. There must have been like 300 to 400 people there. It was mad. And I'm like walking down the corridor, and I went past this group of 4 people, and I gasped. I went, because they must have looked about 16, and I was just like, what? So I was like, why do they look so young? And I was saying to my friends, like, well, obviously they must at least be 21 to get into the club, but I'm not joking. Like, I was just so shocked. And I was like, oh God, I just couldn't ever imagine walking into a club at that age. But like you just said, like, it must be like, becoming a bit more
mainstream.
Varied to the, but you see people of all ages there, don't you?
It's happened to us, and it's happened to us when we've seen people and gone, oh no, they look younger. It's like policemen when you see a policeman, which is a very bad sign. It's a very bad sign, Dean. We'll just brush over that.
You do. You just go, are they old enough to even drive, let alone be here? It's like they do look a lot younger, don't they? A lot younger.
And every time I saw this little group of people, I was just like, oh God, I feel so old. I feel so
So as a single female then, Shan, do you have any top tips for any other single females out there? Because we've probably got listeners that are thinking, I'd like to sort of, find out a bit more about this hobby and everything else.
We get a lot of emails saying that we describe the community so sort of as such a lovely community, and it's such a unique, caring community, I think, of all different ages. But they've just, first again, like the guys, I suppose, some of them have just got that fear of turning up, just literally going for it, that last stage of just going to a club. What would you say to them?
Well, I think getting on Fab, getting on the groups, and just contacting people before a club, it eased my nerves completely. I think that's a great place to start on the scene, because I think if you're just making friends, and obviously bearing in mind, like, being safe as well, but if you like maybe plan to meet another girl at a club, or like a group of girls that maybe have got experience on the scene, I think that's a great place to start. I mean, my best friend in the entire world who I met on the scene, when we first met on the Discord and went for a social, she was like, oh, let me give you a Fab. And I was like, I added her on Fab, and I was like, oh, it says you messaged me 6 months ago. So I was like, let's have a look, see what was said. And she'd messaged me on Fab saying, hi, I'm a new girl on the scene. I'm just reaching out to other girls, trying to make some friends to go to clubs. And I completely ignored her, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Well, I could have cried. I was like, "Oh, like you're so adorable that you're just like reaching out to people and like you're trying to make friends, and then there's me just ignoring you." But like, I admire what she did, and I said that's actually a really good idea to just reach out to other girls, and safety in numbers and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, just the safety aspect is most important, and just being prepared when you go to a club.
Yeah.
And making sure you've got everything you need.
I mean, there's so many different parties now to account for like different fetishes or kinks or so sort of whatever you're into, really. Like you've already mentioned, you got the curvy community. You've got obviously you've got like Vanilla To Vixen newbie nights and things. You got the Black Man's Fan Club, or you've got Dark Desires. Yeah, you've got so many.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I think it's important to maybe explore what it is that you're looking for and find the event for you, because for a very long time I would only ever go to like curvy events. As a plus size woman, I was absolutely terrified. Like, my body confidence was like 0 before I started swinging.
I've got to interrupt. You just looked damn stunning in the club when we saw you.
Oh, thank you so much. Like, yeah, I am very confident now, but when I started, I wasn't. And like, the thought of me walking into like a club full of people in my underwear was like, wouldn't have ever imagined doing that in a million years. So, starting off by going to like DC, for example, was just a big confidence builder for me. So that'd be like a big tip, I think, is just making sure you find maybe your niche when you first starting out, and then when you feel more confident, and you can just start branching out to other events and things. Like the first time I went to a curvy event, it was like I felt like I was going to a club for the first time again. I was like, oh my god, what if people don't like me, and what if I look weird, and blah, blah, blah. But then I just realised I'm being so daft, because I've never walked into a club and felt like conscious of my body or anything. Like, you walk into a room and everyone's like, oh my god, you look amazing. Like,
then that's
it's great.
And that's the beauty of the clubs, isn't it? Because there is that whole thing, we say it all the time, people leave their judgment at the door. Everybody's there just to have, a good time, and they don't care. People don't care what size you are, what colour you are.
It reminds me of, while I was chatting to a guy on Fab, he was asking about our Vegas Vixens event, and he was really nervous and just sort of getting over that final hurdle. And he was he was quite conscious about his body and whether people would find him attractive. And I'm like, honestly, this is the most non-judgmental community. This is what it's actually about. And his exact words to me were that he doubted anywhere was like that in this day and age. Which I thought was really sad.
Yeah,
he just couldn't get his head around it and couldn't believe what the community was like. Do you think it's helped your confidence outside of clubs, kind of in your professional life, or because you said originally that your confidence has grown massively?
Yeah, I think it's completely changed my life, swinging. Like, absolutely. Like, my mental health and my confidence and everything is just skyrocketed since I've been swinging. So just before I started doing this, I remember like how I was in such a bad place, and then now I've met this like amazing group of people who make me feel amazing, and I've met like some of my best friends swinging, and that has like then obviously gone into like my vanilla life, where I see those people outside of clubs, and some of them have met my kids, and we go out together, like on play dates and things like that, and they support me in my vanilla life now as well, and it's just an amazing thing to be a part of, and I just can't recommend it to people enough. And I feel confident in all aspects of life now.
So do you keep your sort of swinging life and vanilla life completely separate, or are there people in your vanilla life that know, obviously, that you're in the hobby?
Yeah, no, all of my vanilla friends know. Yeah, my mum also knows now. Which
How did that go?
So basically, so my mum likes to let herself into my house unannounced and doesn't tell me that she's coming. And I remember being sat upstairs on my bed talking to said best friend, and I had my AirPods in, like I've got them in now. I'm like, oh God, I've locked my door.
I'm just waiting for Mom to come in the background of this conversation now.
Yeah, and we were discussing the girl orgy that we had participated in at the Cams BBW event. And I was like, just going on about it. And I was like, oh my God, it was amazing, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing I know, I just saw a hand appear from the other side of the door. And like, do you know, like the white flag that's been waved? It was just my mum's hand, like, I'm here, I'm here. And I took my AirPods out and I was like, oh my God. And my mum was just like, and I was like, my mum's here. And like, let you go. And I was like, please don't leave me, please, please. And then she was like, no, I've got to go. And then, yeah, my mum didn't really like about it, but it's kind of like, it's like the elephant in the room now. We don't really speak about it.
It's not been discussed or anything since, and she's not.
No.
Okay.
It's a hard thing. I think, especially for somebody who hasn't ever been in that community, or never even stepped foot in a club. I think to get your head around what the community's like, and like you've said, it's not just about sex. You make real friends in there that transfer to your day-to-day life. I mean, we've actually been to like antique shops and things.
We have
cake shops,
yes,
with like friends, and so I suppose from an outsider's point of view, everybody thinks we're shagging all the time, but it's nothing like that, as you know.
No, we always like laugh to each other. We'll be like doing something completely like random, and we'll be like, well, this is not what I really signed up for. When I started swinging, like doing like when my friend was poorly, I remember like driving over to like a house and picking up a prescription for her doctor and doing some shopping. I was like, well, I didn't sign up for this. Let's start swinging.
You just never know where it's going to lead you, do you?
Mine took me to some random pharmacy in Chesterfield, picked up somebody's prescription. Who thought that? Yeah. But yeah, it's just I just can't imagine my life without it now. And
how would you say your life has changed from when you went to your very first club to sort of where you are now?
So do you mean like my life in general, or like my?
Well, also your, whatever your dynamic is or kinks or anything, is that changed since you first started?
Your kinks always change, don't they? Your kinks always change.
Oh yeah, like obviously, yeah. My dynamic has constantly changed. So I've not just explored as a single lady. I was in a relationship for like 6 months last year, where we continued to obviously swing. And I have explored like the friends of benefits and stuff like that. So, I have like explored a few different dynamics, and I have also explored kink quite a lot throughout the last couple of years. But like you said, like your boundaries and your preferences and everything just completely develops all the time. And that's one big thing that has shocked me from like when I first walked into a club, and now when I walked into that club first time, I was like, yeah, I know who I am, I know my sexuality, I know what I'm into. And now, like comparing like now to then, I was just like, I can't believe how much it has changed and developed. Like, it's just It's full of surprises, and you learn so much about yourself.
You do. And do you think that's down to people that you've met in the hobby, and maybe, you know, what they're into has kind of made you think, oh, actually, I quite fancy trying that? Or do you just think it's something that you've developed yourself?
All things you see.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some things that I probably can't even talk about.
No, honestly, Shannon, this is a no holds barred podcast. You go for it.
No, I've just seen some things that have shocked me, and I'm just but now, it just seems normal to me. It's a bit similar to what you were discussing on the last episode about, the last episode that was aired about.
Yeah.
What had happened at your event that you couldn't really talk about. But I've just obviously been sat wondering what that could be, and I was just thinking, well, it probably wouldn't have shocked me, to be fair, with the things that I've seen. But then obviously some people, more new to it, are just a bit you know, everybody develops, but once you've been in the club scene for a while, I think it just gets to a point where you're like, what have I not seen now?
And people tell you stories and you go, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I
remember when we went to our very first fetish event, and we sat actually talking to a guy in pink PVC, I think it was like a pink PVC nurse's outfit, wasn't it? And the older me from years ago would have been like, what the fuck? What is going on? But I just, it was just interesting chatting to him and talking. He got a real fetish for PVC, hadn't he?
Yeah.
And it was just, I was just interested in.
I think you kind of see beyond.
Totally.
You know, the I can't think of the right word, but you know, like the outer shell kind of thing. You see beyond what's there.
Yeah, I mean, a few weeks ago, I was at Purple Mambas at Tenacious Creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, with the lovely, sexy squirrels.
Yeah, amazing. Love those guys. And I was ready to leave at the end of the night, and my friend disappeared upstairs. And I was like, well, we're getting kicked out at 2:00. And it was 1:30. So I was like, well, this is going to be a quick job and then we'll be going.
A wham bam.
So I thought, So I thought, right, I'm just going to get dressed, because at that point I was ready for my post-club McDonald's and I was tired. And so I put my things on that I always put on the way out, and I just sat there in my fluffy slippers.
As we do,
absolutely.
Waiting to leave. And then he was sat next to me, and he was having a good old chat and everything. And I was like, he was just keeping me company while I was waiting for my friend. And then, he was like, oh, you can put your leg up on me if you want to relax. I was like, okay. And then I was like, do you like my slipper socks? They're really fluffy if you want to feel them. And he went, no, I can't do that. And I was like, why? And he was like, because I've got a foot fetish and I'm worried about where it's going to lead. And I was like, go for it. I was like, I don't mind. You can give me a massage if you like. So he's sat there just giving me this massage. There's another guy sat next to me. I'm just having a chat with him while this is happening. And then next thing he said, do you mind if I take your socks off? I was like, yeah, all right, go for it. Took my socks off, and then he just carried on, and things were just developing. And I'm still just sat there having a chat with this other person, nothing's happening. And the next thing you know, I just felt his mouth lock onto my toes. And I was like, whoa, what's happening? But then I thought, you know what, right? Doing this, and I got nothing sexual from it whatsoever. But I thought, this is probably making his night. So I was like, not doing anything else, so you might as well just carry on what you're doing.
Happy to oblige.
Next thing I know, this other guy's looking a bit sheepish, and I was like, what's up with you? I was like, have you got a foot fetish as well? And he was like, yeah. I was like, are you joking me? These guys did not know each other whatsoever. So I've got 1 foot on that guy, 1 foot on the other guy, right? And then they was having a bit of banter, kind of fighting over me a little bit. And I just went, look, guys, there's plenty of feet to go around. Don't argue over me. Next thing, my friend walks into the room and she was just like, what the hell is going on in here? She was like,
I leave you for
she was
5
just like,
minutes and look what happens.
Yeah, she was like, I've left you for 5 minutes. She said, I just walked down the stairs and all I heard was, right, boys, there's plenty of feet to go around. No fighting over me. And she was like, oh, I know what she's doing now. And I walked out, right, when you've been in the bath too long and your fingers start to go a bit wrinkly.
You've been pruned.
Well, my feet fell like that when I was walking out. I was like, that's how long I was sat there, having my toes sucked. And I just said to my friend, I was like, do you know if I go and tell my vanilla friends tomorrow what I got up to on this Friday night, they're just going to be like, what the fuck? But to me, I was like, that. I didn't even bat an eyelid. I was like, that was totally normal to me.
I'd love to know what
your
it is.
The description of that is so true.
Yeah.
What appears to be really weird is just totally normal.
Normal, exactly. I am absolutely fascinated what sort of sexual thing they get out of with feet.
Yeah, it's just people with feet.
Oh, we have been talking about this in one of the Telegram groups I'm in, because there's a guy there as well who's like into feet, and I'm not quite sure exactly what it is, but it seems to be like a lot more popular than I thought, foot fetishes. I have quite a lot of messages on Fab about it.
We need to get a feet fetish guy on the show.
We do, don't we? Because I am actually quite interested in the whole, what
psychology behind it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to know. So if there's any listeners out there who have got a foot fetish,
we want to hear from you.
And you'd be happy to have a chat with us, please get in contact, because we'd love to know.
Mrs. N will send a photo of her foot in return.
With
if
pleasure.
You come on the show.
With pleasure.
I'll send you a pair of my fluffy socks if you want.
That's it.
I like that.
When we first kind of went into the hobby, and I think doing the podcast, so I think it kind of threw us into exploring more kinks than probably we were not comfortable with, I would have said, because we were quite open to exploring everything. But I think we certainly explored things a lot faster than we would have done.
Yeah, I mean, there were huge fascination, but we also wanted for the listeners to sort of say to them, look, this is what's out there. Because there's a lot of things you don't know about if you're not into that particular kink.
I think our biggest surprise was sensation play.
Yeah.
We had no idea about BDSM and sensation play. We were like one of the muggles that thought it was just all about whipping the shit out of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've learned so much about kink since I started doing this. But what I found interesting is like the kind of crossover between swinging and kink is a lot different than what I expected it to be. So I just expected that to, in a club that anybody can do whatever they want in regards to kink. And I had an experience where I was participating in some kink play, and it was in my hotel room at camp. So technically I was in a private area, but there was quite a few people who joined us in the room. Now, I was participating in some pretty heavy impact play. And afterwards, one of my friends who was in there came up to me really concerned, and she was really upset. She was like, I really didn't like seeing you get hurt like that. And she was like, I'm really concerned for you and stuff like that. And I had to sort of explain to her that it's okay. Like, me and my partner at the time, we have safe words, we discuss boundaries, and everything that happened was consensual, and I'm totally okay.
It's a scene, isn't it? It's explaining to someone that it's not real, it's a scene. You're kind of acting it out.
Yeah, but it was at that moment I realised that doing kink anywhere and everywhere is not okay.
Yeah.
Because she obviously didn't realise that we're going to go to that extent, and she kind of didn't consent to see that. Yes. And I did that in front of her, and I felt incredibly guilty at the time because I was just kind of new to mixing swinging and kink, and I didn't realise that was an issue until, I realised how concerned and scared she was for me and for my safety. And I had to sit and explain to her everything. And then from then on, I've been extremely careful about where I do kink and, you know, to what extent. I mean, like, I was with somebody in, like, one of the clubs who was, like, going a bit far with, like, spanking and stuff, and I was, like, explaining to them, like, you know, the people around us are not consenting to see that. So, you know, you've just got to be a bit aware of, you know, other people around you and not take it too far.
That's exactly what it's about, isn't it?
It's
just, I mean, when you go in there, we always say to people that you leave your judgment at the door, but it's also about having some consideration for those around you. And I think that's...
Especially in open play areas when there's lots of people that you wouldn't necessarily know, and you don't know what level they're at or what their kinks are or anything.
Yeah, but I mean, we've recently just got the dungeon area of Liberty Elite. It's only a tiny, just a few little bits in there, but it's a great way for people to just see sort of gentle flogging and things, so that if, you know, they can just watch from the dance floor, from the safety of the dance floor. So you can't kind of act out a scene or anything. It's not like true sort of what you would describe as a fet night. Yeah. But it's just a gentle. It's just a gentle sort of. You can watch gentle play, and then you can sort of discover if that kind of thing.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Just like exploring and, you know, figuring out who you are and what you like and what you don't like. Because if you've never had the opportunity to explore that, then how are you ever going to know?
Exactly.
So,
and talking to people like yourself and people that have experienced it, who can teach you so much. Just, you know, when we first went into it, the conversations were so fascinating with people. Yeah, we could spend from 8:30 till 2:00 in the morning just talking about stuff. That was one of the best bits of going to a club. Definitely.
Well, we love listening to people's journeys and people's stories, don't we? You know, good or bad, because that's the whole thing about our podcast, is the fact that it shows the real side of the naughty hobby. You know, it's not sensationalised in any way. It's not all Hollywood and everything. And, you know,
unfortunately not.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are times when things don't particularly go well. And then there are times where you have the most amazing experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's it. I mean, like, anything that's worth doing is not always going to be easy, is it? I mean, you know, especially when... I mean, I know, like, some couples I've met on the scene who just turn up to a club and then they go home and leave it at the door. Like, they don't make friends on the scene or anything. They literally use it just for the sex. But I think a lot of, like, especially a lot of people I'm friends with, like, you know, we take our swinging friendship seriously. Like, you know, we're in it for the friendships as well. And I think sometimes that's when it can get a little bit of an issue as well, because when you've got so many people, like, you know, swapping partners and, like, you know, creating connections and, you know, it can sometimes get a little bit messy sometimes, but I think it's, as long as, like, you're being open and honest with people, I think that's always, you know,
I think that's great advice.
The best thing to do.
I think the minute you are in a situation where one of our golden rules is that we always sort of say to couples, we've had questions, haven't we, for Roxy, and one of our golden rules is the minute you're in a situation where you feel you either can't tell your partner or you can't tell another friend something else that somebody's said or anything, then you know that situation's not a good situation to be in, isn't it? So just step back. That's our golden rule. But
But yeah, that is another tip for, like, anybody on the scene, not just single girls. Like, always be open and honest. Like, as soon as you start, like, kind of keeping things from people about how you feel about something or, you know, an issue that you've had, not only can that, like, take an emotional toll, but that can also, like, put things like safety into concern as well. Like, you know, if you're not getting across your boundaries and your feelings, then, you know, you can end up getting hurt in more ways than one. And, you know, it's not just as simple as turning up and having sex and going home. Like, you need to be having these important conversations with people.
That's so true.
So true.
So true. I can't remember when we first did the kink thing and the fetish thing. I can't remember who it was. Whether it wasn't Roxy. I can't remember who it was now. I think whether it was Delicious Debs that kind of pre-warned me, and she went, when you go up onto that cross, she went, don't be a dickhead. She said, don't try being strong.
Yeah.
You honestly set your limits. Of course, I was a dickhead.
So have you ever done anything, Shannon, where you've thought to yourself, oh, geez, I'm never doing that again? And then have you ever done something that you thought, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to like it, and then absolutely ended up loving it?
Like I said, I'm quite open, and I will like try most things once. I'm very much a person, especially when it comes to kinky stuff. Like, I don't really have that many limits, to be honest, for anything. But I tried electric like recently. You know, with like the wands and like the tinsely things, and like I was like, that looks absolutely frigging terrifying. And I tried that, and that was actually really, really, really nice. Really enjoyed it. But my friend tried it the weekend as well at Pandora's, and she was like, I am never doing that again. She was like, it feels like getting a tattoo, and it's horrible. And I was just like, yeah, but I'm quite a masochist when it comes to like kink play, and I enjoy the pain side of it. So that was like quite good for me, and it's been nice to explore that in like a safe way as well. I'm trying to think of something that I've done that I wouldn't ever do again.
That was the wrong question to ask you, wasn't it?
I think I'm just bloody filthy. Right
now,
love it.
There will be thousands of listeners going, I want to meet Shannon.
Oh, yeah. Can't think of anything.
I actually remember with the electrical play, because obviously we've got the Vanilla To Vixen.co.uk store, and
smooth, Mr. N.
I know, but it's essential to the story. It is genuinely essential to the story. And we got a cattle prod.
Oh,
one of the suppliers actually did this full like brand new like cattle prod thing, and it looked like a cattle prod.
Okay.
I was alone on my own. Never tried electrical play before, so I just thought, if I do it through my jeans, it's not going to really hurt much. I didn't realise it had a little controller on the bottom of it, so it was on full. What maniac! What maniac in the factory goes, I know, as a factory preset, we'll put it on to number like 5 or whatever is the top one. And I was like, no, I'll just give it a go. Stuck it into my thigh, pressed it. I thought Mrs. N was just going to find me in a heap on the floor.
The thing with that, the cattle prod thing, it was more the noise that scared me. So every time it did the little like electric shock thing, I jumped before it actually even touched me, because it was that was making me scared. It was. Although when we did do the whole episode when we did the BDSM with Master Paul and Lady Selena, Master Paul showed me some equipment that he got. It was like a bit like electrodes, is it? Electrode?
Was it the glove?
No, well, he had little gadget things,
but
they did like they run an electric current through it.
Yeah.
That I was like, do you know what?
That was a glove.
There wasn't just a glove. He had other bits. You didn't see it. You were too busy being beaten to death.
This is true.
I can't remember her name, but she was literally beating the crap out of you. And I actually looked at that and I thought, do you know what? I think I would really enjoy that, because it was very much sensation.
More tingly.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Yeah, they've got all sorts of different like attachments you can use, and different pieces of equipment. Like, I've tried it quite a few different places now. I mean, I've even got a friend who brings their electric kit to the BBW at Cams. Like, I can remember walking through and I was like, what's that noise? And then I walked around the corner and I could just see, like, these electric things. I was like, what the hell's going on in here? And he was like, Shannon, get laid down. Come on, let's give it a go. Okay, tell me twice.
Roxy's advice is always try something twice. If you don't like it after the second time, you know you definitely don't like it.
So is there anything that's been what would you say was probably the most extreme thing that you've tried?
So, I've probably tried most things to the point of I enjoy like water sports, things like that. It's probably like anything bar poo.
Yeah.
Everything apart from that, I'm probably good with, to be fair. I haven't actually really been to that many kink events as such. I think I get stuck in a bit of a, I don't want to say a rut because it makes it sound like it's a bad thing, but going to the same clubs and the same events that I don't explore other things as much. So I really need to start exploring a bit more kink events and stuff this year, I think.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
It's okay. I'm sorry if I overshared.
No, not at all. We love people who overshare.
To be honest,
I'm such an oversharer.
No.
Like,
and it's just lovely chatting to you. It's been really
my
interesting.
darling. It's great.
yeah, I mean, I've started going to like more socials recently, which I never used to do. Like, I always used to be like, oh, what's the point in that? No shagging there. But, we've started going for the full weekend in Birmingham for the CAMS BBW event, and like we've started going the night before now and just like going out for drinks with people and stuff, and going for some food, and I've just really, really enjoyed doing that. And I think getting to more socials and stuff is really nice because like you do get to know people at clubs, but you don't really get that as enough one-on-one like quality conversation, do you? Because
that's so true.
It is really, really true. Yeah.
There's that many people to like go and talk to and get around to. You just
and you've not seen them for months and months and that, and you just get chatting. And, yeah, so true.
Yeah, so it is nice to have times like this and going to socials and stuff to chat with people.
It's so lovely. Thank you so much.
Well, when you've discovered and played with some new things and whatever, we'll have to get you back on, honey.
Yeah, something that we can actually talk about. It's just like we can have to cut out.
No, it's brilliant. It is brilliant. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you, my darling. Hopefully we'll get to see you again soon.
No worries. Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for doing it for us, Chick, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll see you soon, guys.
Take care, my darling.
Take care. Bye.